Hey, in today's video I'm going to discuss Indian clubs and how they may relate to training Polish Saber. Now, Indian clubs are a piece of equipment which has been recommended to me by multiple people, and I've finally got around to purchasing one, and I'm going to give my initial thoughts. And as I always say, I'm not a qualified trainer or some kind of master, I'm just an enthusiastic amateur, and I hope we can learn together, and I hope you find my ideas useful. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this video.
98, 99, 100, 102, 1.
So as you can see, I went with the 10 kilogram Indian club. I purchased this online as there were no retailers in my area which stocked them, and that brings me to my very first piece of advice to any would-be buyer. This one here was actually listed as a club bell, the same way you'd get, say, dumbbell shaped like a kettle is called a kettlebell. This dumbbell shaped like a club is a club bell, at least in the terminology used by the people selling it online. Now, the reason this is important is because the exact same product, a steel Indian club, cost 25% more than the ones listed as club bell. I'm not sure if this will work in your region or not, or if that's the case where you are in the world. However, here in Australia, when you purchase them online, just searching for club bell, you get the exact same product, precisely the same as the Indian clubs, which are constructed from steel. However, they're all universally at every weight, roughly 25% cheaper than the ones listed as Indian club. I don't know why that is, I can't explain it. However, that's a little tip for if you're shopping around online yourself. Keep that in mind. My very first initial, now that I've got it, impression is that it's a lot heavier than I thought it was. It's a lot more difficult to manipulate. It feels heavier in fact than, say, a 10 kilogram kettlebell. Oh, I was going down. See, this here, even though the weight is away from the hand, it feels a lot more easier to manipulate than the club bell. Likewise, even a 10 kilogram disc, where the handle's well away from the center, they still feel a little bit lighter in the hand than the club bell does. This is to the extent that I literally put it on a scale to make sure it was only 10 kilograms, and it is. Just perhaps having the handle so far away from the mass is probably the really advantage of this piece of equipment for grip strength, and like I said, it feels a lot heavier. If I access to a retail store, I probably would have bought a slightly lighter one just for practicing cutting. However, I'll make do what I've got, and I've come up with an idea how to use a very slightly heavier one like this. Now, here on YouTube, there are plenty of people who will tell you the history of the Indian club, notable practitioners, techniques, different training routines, a lot better than I could, as I don't have any experience at all with it. Now, I've tried out a couple of them, and personally I found one I particularly enjoy is when you really get some core going, wrapping it over the head and coming with these like double-handed strikes. Especially if you just keep it well away from the head and around the body, you really feel it in the obliques. I like that exercise a lot, and it very directly translates almost to like handling a two-handed sword or weapon. However, is there any exercises with this which are particularly pertinent towards Polish Saber? In order to answer that question, we must first ask, is there any particular technique with the Polish Saber or Szabla which is unique? And I'll say there is one. I've discussed it in multiple videos, and that is the action of finger cutting. Now, I've made a video on how to perform this technique and also on how to apply it to the basic 8 cutting pattern. However, briefly to explain it, you start with the wrist bent this way here, and a little opening here with your index and thumb closed, and then you squeeze with the little finger as you go forward like that. So the technique changes grip midway and it adds a little bit of speed and power. Now, this little squeeze, this little finger action can always be improved with strength. Maybe you practice with this kind of device here to improve your strength. That certainly can improve that motion there. However, can we use the Indian club to do it? Keeping in mind that depending on the weight of your shabla, the Indian club, the 10 kilo one I have, is anywhere from 8 to 10 times heavier. Therefore, if you can perform that technique with the club, then basically the shabla will feel light as a feather in your hand, and you'll be so much quicker and hopefully more powerful. So is there a way to improve the strength of that technique of finger cutting with the Indian club? I think so. This is the best idea I've come up with so far. If you like it, or even if you improve on it, let me know. But basically, if we begin here with the wristband not straight, but actually in that beginning position, we have the pocket here, we have the grip between the forefinger and thumb, and then we close the pocket and straighten the wrist as we push up and away from ourselves, then bring it down in a controlled manner, like that. Now, I think for safety's sake, it's important to perform this exercise away from yourself rather than directly over your head. If you were to lose grip at this, which is a tool designed to stress your grip, maybe you're working hard too, maybe it's like today, it's literally 35. I am actually drenched in sweat at the moment. It is that boiling hot, and your hand is loose and slippery, and it'll fall safely to the floor if you're doing this with it, rather than like that, dropping it directly on your head. It could be lights out for good. So for safety's sake, I'd recommend that motion there. And also it's kind of like getting ready to cut in any angle, even an uppercut, you're using this style of motion. And of course, in order to not get an imbalance in development, it's important to also use the same exercise in your left hand as well. Anyway, you can supplement your training with an Indian club, with all the standard exercises, but if you'd like an exercise directly related to Polish Saber, this is just an idea I come up with. I've only had it a few days. I might improve on it. My goal is to get my grip from here all the way down to here and still be able to do that in a safe and controlled manner. At the moment, I can do this. I'm going to creep the grip down here as my progression, and hopefully at some point later on down the track, I'll make a video where I'm showing you I'm doing sets of 10 with it gripped right at the very end. Anyway, those are just some quick thoughts and initial ideas with regards to the Indian club. And if you got something out of it, I hope it does well. Anyway, till next time, bye.